All right, we're back with another Pick'em video. It is Thursday, April 24th in the NBA. We have 3 more playoff games tonight. We do have the Grizzlies and the OKC Thunder. Hopefully the Grizzlies now at home can lose by less than 20 points. That'd be pretty sweet. But the other side of things, we do have 2 more series that have been awesome. They're both tied 1-1, Knicks and Pistons. And then we got the Nuggets and the Clippers. Those guys are switching, home courts right now. So hopefully some good games tonight. And again, if Memphis can keep it close, that's just icing on the cake because those other 2 series have been awesome. So we are just going to jump right into things today. We are quickly going to go over the recap of yesterday's video picks. Then we're going to hop into the plays essentially just for today. We'll go over the injury news, if there's any sort of minutes that I'm thinking about, and then quickly start talking about some plays and get you guys out of here. So if you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe, leave the video a like, comment something down below, all those good things that help the channel grow. Let's hop into the recap. All right, so real quick recap of yesterday's video picks. We had Drew Holiday over 20.5 PRA. He did cash that, just crept over for us. I think he ended with like 21. Actually, I know he ended with 21 because he had free throws near the end of that game to get us over, which was awesome. DeAndre Hunter over 8.5 points. He started cooking early. He had 8 points very early on in that game. I think he ends with 12, but again, no sweat cash there. Steven Adams, we were pretty much just saying, hey, hopefully get 16, 17, 18 if you get 20 minutes on the court. Awesome, because the hit rate with that many minutes is amazing. And he ends up getting 17 minutes, just doesn't do much of anything in that time. Obviously, Jimmy Butler going out changes this game a little bit. But yeah, Steven Adams doesn't get as many rebounds as I thought he would in a good matchup for him. But unfortunate one there. And then Jabari Smith Jr., another miss here for us. I should have gone to Tari Eason. That's hindsight, I guess. But both these guys play very similar roles. And Tari Eason came out and played very well early. And Jabari Smith Jr., did his thing, got some rebounds, but just comes up short for us. Steph Curry under 26.5 points, another good read, so we end up going 30-2. So obviously going to take the positive day. I think one of these 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 days is incoming, and hopefully that comes for today. So let's hop into any sort of injury news, any sort of lineup minutes, projections, and things like that, and then we'll start talking about some plays. All right, hopping over to RotoWire to check out the 3 games we got going on, the Knicks and Detroit. This is now in Detroit. New York is favored by 1.5, but hopefully another good game between these 2 teams. No injuries for the Knicks. Everyone's going to get as many minutes as they can handle. It's nice to see Mikal Bridges have a bounce back game. Between the guys on the bench, again, it is going to come down to who's playing well. We saw Campaign in game 1 get a ton of minutes, especially in that fourth quarter, because he was cooking. So you're going to get the main guys getting as many minutes as they can handle, especially with Tom Thibodeau as the coach. And those other guys are going to be, based on their performance. That's just how the playoffs go. Detroit, Jalen Duren is my main guy I'm looking at here. He's projected for 33 minutes, did play 37 minutes last game. Isaiah Stewart obviously didn't play that game, so that helped him. But game 1, he only plays 25 minutes, and the guys that are coming in off the bench, even just watching the game, Jalen Duren doesn't look like he's playing very well. He's getting a lot of mismatches. He's just not comfortable out there, especially with a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns that can come out there and spread the floor. But yeah, you get guys like Paul Reed, who are like plus minus category. They're in the positive, and Jalen Duren's continuously in the negative. I think Duren's like a minus 28 in this series, while the backup centers are like a plus 20 overall. So I think we're going to get a little bit more of beef stew if he plays. Now he's a game time decision. That's the only thing to look at. But I'm going to look to fade Jalen Duren here, which I have in every single game so far this season, or not this series, I mean. And yeah, it just doesn't look like this is a great matchup for him. Again, we saw him play 25 minutes in that first game. Maybe we see something similar, especially if Beef Stew and Paul Reed are out there trying to get some minutes here. So this is what we got going on. Cade and Tobias Harris are playing really well. This is a really good Cade matchup to score the points. We know that. And then some of the other guys off the bench. Malik Beasley is going to get his really good defensive team in the perimeters, but Malik Beasley is a guy that can do that anyway. Dennis Schroeder's been awesome in this series. Another good point guard, pick and roll ball handling type of guy that can take advantage of these matchups. And then again, Isaiah Stewart. You see Paul Reed with no minutes projections. If Isaiah Stewart doesn't come in, those guys will just get the same amount of minutes. And maybe we get some change up of the lineups just because obviously Jalen Duren's not very good in this series, to be totally honest. OKC and Memphis. Not going to spend too much time on this, but we got Yang being listed as out. That doesn't matter. We're going to get as many minutes as he can handle from these starters, but again, this is a 9.5 point spread. OKC's winning the series by like 70 points overall. Now Memphis is coming into into Memphis, so they got the home court advantage. But yeah, Desmond Bane, John Morant, Jaren Jackson, Scottie Pippen, all these guys are going to get him minutes. Zach Edey's been getting time on the court. Santi Aldama comes in for some good, offense if he needs it. But yeah, Chet Holmgren has been awesome in this series. Shea's been underwhelming. She's shooting a million times, just not shooting very well. And you'd think this is a pretty good matchup for him to score. J-Dub's been very consistent. These guys have just handled everything so far. Looked for Memphis to put up a fight, but nothing too crazy that I'm loving in this game. You could look at some unders, I think, on the Memphis side of things, but at the same time, they got to win, not win, but they got to make a game of at least one of these things. They can't get blown out every single time. So I'd probably be looking at a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, honestly, in this matchup to score some points. He's shooting a whole lot. just not shooting a ton. They got to limit Chet Holmgren a little bit more, and I think that's going to give more opportunities for Shea to actually do his thing, and hopefully Memphis can get out in transition and maybe make something interesting of it, but not too excited about that game. This game I am excited about. Denver and LA. We got Michael Porter Jr. as a game time decision. Now he played himself back in the rotation last game, playing very, very well. And Denver and the Clippers, this thing is awesome. We just saw Kawhi go nuclear. He had like 40 points last game. We've seen some good games from Jamal Murray. He's been very consistent in this series, really throughout the entire season against these guys. So this is what we're looking at for projected minutes. Russell Westbrook, someone I'm very interested in, someone we went to last time, but with Michael Porter Jr. potentially not be like playing in this game as a game time decision or maybe a little bit hobbled, then we could see more and more of Russell Westbrook, and that's when we're going to get potential for more scoring, potential for more rebounds, whatever it might be. Can definitely chip in with some assists, so that's kind of the main guy I'm looking off in the bench here. And then the Clipper side of things, obviously the same thing. We're going to see this top three players projected for 40 minutes pretty much. Norman Powell is going to get in there. He's not been shooting very well. You got to see him start heating up. Started to heat up at the end of that last game, but like to see a little bit more from him. And then Chris Dunn's been playing really well. Obviously a very defensive-minded point guard or guard in that situation. And then Derek Jones Jr., Nicholas Batum, Bogdanovich, all these veterans off the bench, maybe not Ben Simmons, but all these veterans off the bench know how to score the ball, play some defense in Derek Jones Jr.'s spot there. And they just got a veteran-type team. That's why they're good, and that's why they're scary. And that's why this team's putting up a fight for sure against Denver, and they're probably favored in this series overall. So Clippers minus 5.5 at home. Really excited for that one. So now let's hop into Props Madness like we always do here. This is the tool we show off every single video because it's a tool I use every single day. If you want to check this thing out for a free week, you can do so using my link in the description down below. It's code RICH, and you also get 25% off your first month or your first year on top of that free trial. So definitely check out Props Madness. Very excited to use them for WNBA as well throughout the summer. And I'm going to start Jalen Duren. I was just talking the kind of smack about him in the beginning when we were talking about projected minutes and things like that. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying he just doesn't fit in this type of series. You can see the head-to-head is very hit or miss. He hasn't been rebounding very well, which is what we're going to look at today. It's honestly his 11.5 rebounds on the under. And again, played 37 minutes, got 13 rebounds, 27 rebound chances in that last game. You might be thinking I'm crazy, but I might roll the dice here and just say, hey, hopefully Isaiah Stewart comes out there and plays. We have Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart playing better in terms of plus minus off the bench. I think Isaiah Stewart was like a plus 15 or something in that first game, maybe even better in a game that they lost. So those are big things you got to be looking at. And it's not just the plus minus, it's just looking on the court for a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns to be able to spread him off the floor. Even if he plays, that's a little bit less opportunity for him to get some rebounds there. So I'm going to be looking at his 11.5 rebounds here, taking the under. Again, we just saw the head-to-head looks great. Similar types of players not going over their lines very often. This is the regular season, I will say. So last 5 of 15 players only going over against their rebounding line, and these are guys that rebound very similarly to a guy like Jalen Duren. And that's just what it is. If he's not going to get as much time on the floor, he's projected for 33 minutes, but I think we could see less. 35 or less. This drops to a 48% hit rate. We saw him play 25 minutes in that first game of the series. So if he's going to get 30 or less, if you're going to see him in the 27 range, this is what we're looking at. So the hit rate's going to be harder to get. The rebounds are going to be harder to get with the less time in the court he gets. And we'll see if the change happens and if Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed play a little bit more. And again, this is very dependent on Isaiah Stewart playing the game, because if he doesn't, it's obviously going to be a little bit harder for Jalen Duren to come off the court because they need some size down there at some point. So Jalen Duren, under 11.5 rebounds, definitely something I'm interested in. That will be the first play of the video here. Moving along to the next guy here, it's going to be Jalen Brunson, over 28.5 points. And I think this is something that I've kind of tried to talk myself out of, and then I'm just like, I don't think I can talk myself out of it. He has a perfect matchup to score the points. This is Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. We've seen Karl-Anthony Towns be a little bit less aggressive in terms of scoring. They haven't been getting as much involved, so that was my first look, maybe to go into Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think you could absolutely do that. I think they could both have good games here. Towns should be a little bit more aggressive. We're going to get something from OG. We're typically going to get something from Mikal Bridges. But Jalen Brunson's going to shoot a lot of times. Look at the amount of shots he's getting. 27 shots in that first game, 27 shots in that second game. You see the head-to-head so far this season. There's a reason he's scoring 30-plus points on these guys every single game. It's because he's a pick-and-roll ball-handling guy. That's what they like to give up, and they did that last time. He scored 37 points, and they come out with a victory in that one. Same thing happened in Game 1, and they come out with a loss. So I think they're going to stick to what they believe in. This is a 1-1 series, and not like they're getting crushed by 2-0, and they need to get some sort of crazy switch-up happening. Now they're at home. I think they probably feel a little bit more comfortable, do what they do, and let Brunson cook. If you can mitigate guys like a Karl-Anthony Towns or the Mikal Bridgeses or the OG Anunobis of the world, or some of these bench guys. this is why. Yeah, he's got a great perfect matchup. Very similar types of players that score the ball are going over the lines very often against this team. So Shays, J-Dubs, Foxes, Bookers, guys that have the pick and roll ball handling as their main source of scoring, and the other things like free throw line, getting the free throw line capabilities. This is a good matchup for Jalen Brunson. So 28.5 kind of was scaring me. I wanted to pivot, but honestly just makes sense to go to Jalen Brunson once again. 30 plus points is not out of the realm of possibility for this guy. We know what he did last playoffs. There's, his points line last playoffs at some point was like 36.5. So it's not going to get that high, but 28.5, I think Jalen Brunson, especially in an away game, could come in here and, continue to score the ball. That doesn't mean I'm trying to get you to shy away from some of these other guys. I just think Jalen Brunson is the main guy, obviously. He's going to get the shots. He's got to put the ball in the basket, and he's done so far pretty much the entire season against these Pistons. Next up, we got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 31.5 points. I might chip in with his rebounds as well, so going to rebounds and points and rebounds, but I'll leave that for the end here. But Shai, I think this is finally the good spot to go to him. Scored 15 points, but only played 23 minutes in that 51-point blowout in Game 1. 13 shots in that game. Then he shoots 29 times, just horrible percentages in both these games, and plays 38 minutes in a game that was a 19-point game. So if the Grizzlies can come in here, play for their life, maybe make this thing somewhat interesting and not get literally laughed off the floor. You can see the Grizzlies have lost every single game so far this season to the Thunder. The closest they've been was 13 points. He scored 32 points in that one, Shai did. So maybe they were like, hey, maybe Shai can score a little bit more. We'll take away a J-Dub shot or a Chet shot here and there, and we'll limit these guys on the perimeter, let Shai Gilgeous-Alexander cook. And we got a little bit closer. And then, laughably, the next closest game they lost by was 17 points, and he scored 42 points or 41 points in that one. So, yeah, it's been all over the map for this Grizzlies team. If they cannot get laughed off the court, if Shai can play 37, 38, 40 minutes in this game, that'd be awesome. The volume's going to be there, and you can't just let these other guys beat you every single time. You got to change some things up, and this is just a natural, perfect matchup for him to score the ball. Not only can he get to the free throw line a decent amount against this team, pick and roll ball handling's weak, transitions weak, where you can get out nice and in transition, and then isolation, they're weak, but they give up so many free throws that I don't think it matters too much. 31.5 is pretty steep here. I really wish it was 30.5 because he does land on 31 quite often, but I also think he can chip in with some rebounds. So if you want to go to points and rebounds at 36.5, I also agree with that play, and honestly, this might be the play that I get to. It doesn't look as good in terms of hit rates. You can see in games with Chet and J-Dub in here, or not Chet, J-Dub, Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein in here, only over in 36% of games. If you include J-Dub in that, only over this in 33% of games. But again, this is the playoffs, is a little bit different, and these guys have been playing very, very well. Maybe you got to switch up the defense, try something else, and maybe just say, hey, we'll let Shai go one-on-one with us. We're not going to switch. We're going to let him get to the rack. We're just going to really limit these other guys. And they're a very good all-around team. That's what makes the Thunder very good. It's their defense and the fact that they're all around, but also have that guy that they can really go to rely on the score and the ball. And I think we might see that a little bit more. Now, I just went on a tangent, but why do I want to go to the rebounds? Honestly, it's just because it's not just because the hit rate looks good. 44% of games is nothing too crazy, but this is the playoffs. People are going to be shooting threes. This is Memphis at home. They're about middle pack in terms of the amount of threes they shoot in this league, but at home, I would assume they shoot maybe a little bit more. That's going to be advantageous for Shai to grab some more rebounds, but at the same time, going to the playoffs last year, we know they played a decent amount of playoff games. Take away all these guys that he played with, go to the playoffs last year, and he rebounded extremely well in that series, in both these series, against the Pelicans and against the Mavericks here. So, yeah, I think he could rebound the ball. If he can get there 10 rebounds, that'd be great, because that would reduce the amount of points that we need, but I just overall think this is a pretty good opportunity for Shai to score some buckets. If we're going to go to him at some point in this series, I think this would be the pivotal game 3. Hopefully he can do his thing. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are going to be the third play of the video. And then the last guy I want to look at here is going to be Norman Powell. I wanted to get something down on this game. I think it could be literally the game of the night. This series has been awesome. Like, literally feel like it's a 2-point game the entire series. Now we're tied 1-1 going back to Los Angeles. And I'm realizing Norman Powell, I think, is maybe a little bit undervalued here, or maybe I'm just crazy. Obviously, we know what he was able to do back before his injury. February 12th, he goes down, or February 13th, he goes down after dropping 41 points. And then we don't see him until March 2nd when he's, minutes are down, and he starts finally trying to ramp it back up, and now he's kind of betting back to those normal minutes, 33 minutes in game 2, 7 minutes in game 1 in an OT game there. He's been shooting a decent amount. I like the volume. It's 12 and 14 shots. It's not horrible. We could see a little bit more from him. But at the same time, I'm thinking about what the Nuggets might be saying and saying, hey, Norman Powell's been ice cold. Well, I think we'll live with Norman Powell beating us rather than Kawhi scoring 40, or James Harden dropping 25 and 13 or whatever it might be. So I think Norman Powell might be a little bit more left open. He hasn't been hitting his shots as extremely well, but now he's moving back to home. He started heating up a little bit at the end of last game as well, so maybe he's got some momentum building from that. And 16.5 points, I think this is a pretty good spot for him. We know what he's capable of doing. This is games with James Harden, Kawhi, Zubac all in the lineup. And then again, he's got injured, started to have to ramp back up. His minutes are back to where they're supposed to be. Projected for 33 minutes today. Hasn't gotten less than 33 minutes in the series so far. So if we're going to get 30-plus minutes, this is a hit rate that still looks decent for the entire season. He's going to get 32-plus minutes. Maybe doesn't see 46, but 32 to 40. 80% hit rate here. So yeah, I think I'm liking Norman Powell. 14, 12 shots isn't something I'm really excited about, but you got to change things up from game to game, and maybe the Nuggets say, hey, let's let Norman Powell shoot as many times as he can handle, and hopefully he can knock him down. Spot up shooting, the ranked 29th already. That's a weak spot for him. Norman Powell just got to make him pay. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Norman. He's only played him so far this season with all these guys in this many minutes twice, and those were the two first games. I think we're getting a little bit of a discount, and that's what I kind of look for in some of these playoff games. So maybe not the most exciting pick, but Norman Powell, I think, in a pretty good opportunity to maybe score some points and kind of break out of that slump he's been in. And then for some of these other guys in this game, obviously you'd like to get a little bit more down on a really fun game, but a lot of their lines are very, tight and where they should be. These lines have been out for a decent amount of time, and they're extremely tight. Are we going to get Kawhi game 1, or are we going to get Kawhi game 2? Is James Harden going to be trapped in that pick and roll and have to pass it a little bit more, or are they going to let him get to the rim like he did in game 1 in that first quarter? So it's a little bit harder to predict. Zubac's rebounds line is pretty tight. I think Norman Powell's just giving us the best spot here. You could look at guys like Chris Dunn. Is Derrick Jones Jr. going to have a decent shooting game? Bogdanovich has been very disappointing, but Nicholas Batum at 4.5 points, definitely something I'm interested in. And if you want to go to his 4.5 points, you might as well just go to his 1.5 three-pointers line for plus money. He's literally only shot, I think there's 12 games they've played with Kawhi, with Harden, and with Zubac in the lineup. And in those 12 games or something, he's only shot two two-pointers. Everything else has been a three. So yeah, I'd like Nicholas Batum, 1.5 three-pointers for plus money. That is definitely something I'm interested in. Jamal Murray's been right around his line the entire series. I do like his points and assist potential here, just because of what other players have been able to do, but what he's been able to do in this series so far and throughout the season against these guys. He's been able to score, right around this line. It's very, very tight, like I've been saying. And we also don't know if Michael Porter Jr. is going to play. And if he doesn't play, obviously Russell Westbrook's someone I want to look at. Christian Brown has been someone I've been like, do I want to fade this guy in both these games? Ended up not pulling the trigger. He stayed under in both those games. So, the second that I go to his under, he's going to score very decently well or something, and watch Michael Porter Jr. won't play. So probably something I'm staying away from. And then Jokic, I think he could absolutely have a good scoring game at some point. But again, those doubles are definitely coming. They're making him pass the ball a little bit more. And he's able to score anyway. And the fact that they're away makes me, consider it a little bit more. But you could also look at that. So that probably didn't give you much of anything. But a lot of these, what I'm trying to say here is a lot of these lines in these games are very, very tight, which is why I usually go to some niche players. But we got some stars in there as well with Brunson and J-Dub. And we also got an under here. So kind of a mixture, not J-Dub, who was that? Brunson and SGA. And then we did mix in with an under here. So let's hop in the recap. I'm mumbling here at this point. All right, so hopping in the recap, we talked about 4 official plays in this one. We have Jalen Duren under his 11.5 rebounds. Hopefully Beef Stew comes in there and plays for us. If he doesn't, we still probably have to go to this line because, I've already locked it in. And I still feel decent about it. Obviously, I don't feel as good about it if Isaiah Stewart doesn't play. But hopefully it does at that point. Jalen Brunson over 28.5 points. I was thinking about why don't I want to go to this? Why don't I want to go to this? This is a little bit too high. I really just think Jalen Brunson's got an amazing matchup here, and this is Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. He shoots a lot, and he's been pretty good at going over this line every single game pretty much against this team. SJ over 36.5 points and rebounds. I like his rebounding opportunities, especially in the playoffs. Maybe a little bit more aggressive if this game can stay relatively close. I like what we have here for SGA. And then Norman Powell over 16.5. Hopefully he can break out of that slump. Now coming home, he started heating up at the end of that game. Had some big shots at the end of that game last time. And yeah, hopefully he can get some shots and knock him down, especially if they're honed in a little bit more on a guy that just scored 40 on him in Kawhi Leonard. So that's going to be the 4 picks. If you want access to all of my plays and just a fun community on top of that, definitely check out the link in the description down below. It'll describe how to get in there for a free month also, so plenty of different ways to get in for free, but also just how to sign up if you want access to that. And again, you get access to my plays, You also get access to a very fun community where you can talk to other people, bounce ideas off each other. I'm in there very actively as well. And also there's some other guys that are in there that are really good at what they do, and they have their own channels where they share their own plays as well. So it's a really fun community that we're building over there. Definitely check us out. Plenty of ways for getting for free. And yeah, that's going to do it for us. Good luck with all your bets. Hopefully we get some good basketball tonight. 2 of these series are really, really fun to watch so far. And hopefully the Grizzlies don't get laughed off the court tonight. But yeah, good luck with all your bets. I'll see you guys in the next one. Apologize for this one coming out a little bit later. I'll do better tomorrow. See you guys.